Aye, Lucius. I see how it is. So you had to jump, in quotation marks, Asta. Two people. But you had to jump, huh? Thank you to our final patrons, Strawbones and Aaron. Now, before we hop into this breakdown/review of chapter 336 of Black Clover, please don't forget to leave your own thoughts on the chapter in the comment section down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, make sure you hit that little notification bell so you miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do a Patreon down below. You can support for as low as $1 a month to get things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. Now, let's hop into last chapter's poll. So, last chapter, I ended up asking y'all a very simple question. I needed to know, with Asta packed, Lily taken, and Daddy Lucius leaving the battlefield, is Lucius already the best Black Clover villain that we've gotten? And I know that's a crazy thing to say a whole, 3-4 chapters deep, but I don't know. Papa Lucius has been kind of going wild so quickly. I just had to know. And with an overwhelming 84% of the vote, we have yes. No one is better than Daddy Lucius. And that goes kind of wild. Notably, I do actually enjoy a lot of the Black Clover villains. Veto, Raya, Patry. That's a lot of elves. But, seriously, I do enjoy them. And I like Mars for his whole character journey. There's a lot of good villains in Black Clover. But I will agree with y'all. I know I do get the 16% saying there are other villains that are better. And I'd say in totality, I do really, really, really like Patry. But in terms of just, hi, I'm the new villain. Slam my meat on the table. You're going to have to munch it. Straight up, there's no one better than Lucius at this point. He has been going insane from the moment we got here. No one was able to press him. He didn't off the main character, but he body bagged the main character and just said, yeah, the plot's mine now. But, and I think that's pretty darn impressive for the final villain and a villain to do in general. So, I can't knock the hustle. I definitely agree with y'all. However, thank you so much for participating in this poll. Make sure you get your vote in on tomorrow's poll, dropping at 12 p.m. to make sure your input is included for next week's review. Now, let's hop into chapter 336. What's up, guys? I've got the pencil here, and here we are to chapter 336 of Black Clover, which is known as the final enemy, aka Lucius is the final enemy. There's no real other name I can give this one. However, let's hop right into the chapter itself. So we open up and we get to see that everyone is discussing the Wizard King is the enemy. How can that be? The men who risked his lives, it was all, but according to saw what happened, it really is true. What's happened in this country? And Yeah. I will admit, there is one slight issue I do have with Lucius, and I think I will make an entire video talking about it. But for a hint of what that video is going to be about, I don't like that Lucius is Lucius and not Julius. Because I feel like this would be hitting a whole lot harder if this was actually Julius. Because it just feels a little bit disingenuous. I'm literally about to break into the diatribe that I'm going to make the whole video on. But essentially, the one issue I have is that this is not Julius. This is Lucius, which kind of makes them saying, the Wizard King is the enemy? I mean, in body, and I guess facial structure. Yeah, and I guess magic. But really, he's a DUing angel form soul magic user that happens to have time magic. He isn't just a time magic dude. So, I suppose it is Julius, but not necessarily. The Wizard King that you knew is not the great villain. But that's another topic for another time. What I do like here, though, is that this is causing turmoil. Regardless of who Lucius is on a meta level, this still is the person that everyone views as their savior, the great man, the one above all, if you will, in terms of wizardry in the Clover Kingdom. And to have the simple idea that he has betrayed the kingdom, he is going to go on and become their number one op. Obviously, it's going to be terrifying to, especially your average person. Beings in the Black Cloververse, unless you're some high tier monster or demon or whatever. Yeah, the idea that what is commonly known as the strongest mage in pretty much all of existence at this point after the Spade War, suddenly turning on their kingdom and saying, yeah, Judgment Day y'all got 7. Like, put 7 on it. Yeah, that would be terrifying. I like how Tabata, even if for a glimpse, even if for a whiff, taking us out of the perspective of our main cast and our main cast of side characters and showing us just the general thought to people. Like, this would be a terrifying thing that would have ramifications on the entire kingdom, not just the higher ups. And of course, information would spread like wildfire. It's not like Lucius was subtle. So I bet this would cause a whole ton of chaos, and I like that. It's little hints of storytelling. Like, Tabata didn't have to include that. He could just jump straight into the plot of the chapter. But since Tabata's just like that, threw in a little bit of extra sauce on there to make the burger extra delicious. However, speaking of the main plot, we do get to see a certain man walks up, and he looks nettled, and it is Interestingly enough, we do get to see that it is only like, he went out with a squad, didn't he? I guess he's the only one that came back because he was the only, but no, he was out with a squad. He had Henry and gang. I guess they probably just went back to the hideout. But I love how, like, it's like, I guess it's just angry. Like, it's weird to say it, but has always been this, like, even in the most troubling moments, calm, clear-headed, like, insightful. Like, he's never, I don't think I've ever seen this, like, blisteringly angry before, to the point where, like, when I first looked at the panel, I was like, something wrong? I don't know. Like, there's sometimes where mangaka have off days, and I'm like, oh, is that character all Martin? No, it's just that I've never seen like this, like, so, like, flat-faced, tight-lipped, and angry, and I like it. I like the tone shift. It showed, even though no one at all believed Asta was really dead, like, no one, it still hit for the fact that these characters in the narrative think he's dead, and thus the anger they would feel is being portrayed genuinely, and I like that. It's like, typically on what a lesser writer would do is know that they're keeping Asta alive and tone down reactions, like, essentially being like, whatever, all people know he's not really dead and whatever, I don't really need to write around that. But someone like Tabata, a demon, would know that, oh yeah, this is some top dog news, that if it were actually the case in verse, people would be going nuts. So leading with someone like a character who is known for their calmness and their forthrightness, and show them this angry off rip, it really sets up the weights and the stakes for these characters if truly their little demon man was dead. And we do get to see that Mimosa, Noel, and Nero finish the report for everyone to hear, included. And speaking of more and more despair, can I just say, Tabata be snapping on occasion. Like, not on occasion. That man's pretty consistently snapping. That's the thing, though. Like, art-wise, he's amazing, but he just ain't Horiguchi, though. But we do get to see that every single one of them is in different levels of despair. Nero, I will say, unlike it doesn't necessarily hit as hard with Nero, mainly because they're a character who is typically drawn very flat-faced, or, like, almost expressionless anyway. So they're, like, tiny frown while it does hit, and, like, their downtrodden eyes. It does what it's supposed to do, but it doesn't hit as, like, punch you in the mouth like does. But I will admit, the way that he drew both Noel and Mimosa with eye bags and downtrodden eyes, the shadows over their face, whoa, Tabata was really snapping. Like, golly, once again, two characters who, for the most part, like, I wouldn't say Noel is typically portrayed as, like, emotionless or expressionless and or sad. Same thing, especially not Mimosa. Like, with every time she appears, she's either flustered or happy. So to see both of them so immediately downtrodden and depressed and sad with bags under their eyes, even though this situation literally just happened, like, it goes crazy. Once again, going out of your way, no matter what the overall narrative is, obviously Asta being alive, going out of your way to make sure that every single character that would care about X character being dead has a reaction to it, has an expression about it, has a moment to themselves. That is great. And other mangaka that I really, really like didn't necessarily do that too well. And you know who I'm talking about. You know exactly who I'm talking about. My fellow Disney Clubhouse fan. No, I'm sorry. But we do get to see, I'm sorry, that on top of that, even, like, it's great because everybody here is not only just having like the downtrodden, like sad reactions that a lot of our main cast are having. They aren't just and that's another thing. I like it, man. Tabata's really going crazy. Just like it's crazy that the like button's free and so the subscribe button. So I'd really appreciate if you hit both of those because they help the channel out a lot. But I love the different types of reactions we're having. You know, the person who's known Asta the longest. There ain't no sadness in his face. It's just pure unbridled rage. Love that. Look at Nero. Nero has suppressed sadness, but it's still there. She's still reacting. She spent a long time with Asta and just thinking that he's dead right in front of her. Obviously, he's going to have her in an even more downtrodden state than what she may usually appear to be. Noelle and Mimosa being just deep, like, dark in the depths of sadness and emotional despair, because this is the person that both of them love, just dead before their very eyes, assumedly. Top that off with how both Nozel and Fugelion try to take a more, like, focused, almost diplomatic approach to it, like, trying to figure out the next steps. I see. So Asta is, like, they have this moment where both of these beings, who admittedly aren't too connected to Asta, like, they've both had their moments with Asta in the past, but I wouldn't say, like, they're anywhere near to the level of the people we've seen so far in terms of their connection to Asta. And that explains why they have this almost like focused diplomatic, we need to figure out what to do from here now. We lost one of our best pieces against someone like the Wizard King if he were to come and fight us again, especially in 7 days. So what are we going to do now? They're taking that more diplomatic approach to it. And Rill, someone who's really, really young and doesn't necessarily know how to deal with this kind of emotional distress, especially with someone like Asta, who, once again, not the deepest of connections, but he did know. He's like, he tries to lighten the mood with humor, like a lot of people tend to do whenever they're in, like, dark, despairing situations. They don't want to be consumed by it. So he says, looks like his celebration turned into a wake, huh? Ha, ha, ha. And Charlotte immediately scolds him for that. And he's like, I know, but I just can't really. And you see him, he's sweating and he's worried because, like, in a matter of literally probably minutes, I'm not sure how long the interaction with Lucius took, but in a matter of probably at most 15 minutes, they went from celebrating Asta's promotion to the Wizard King being evil, the Wizard King being back, the Wizard King killing Asta, and him declaring that there's going to be a holy war in 7 days. Obviously, the mood would change so drastically. There'd be so much on these characters' minds, and we're seeing how each one of them reacts differently, and I love it. It's so juicy. I don't know. I love it. It's so good. I'm sad that he's actually alive. But regardless of that, we do get to see that Yami is even like he has that same look that Yuno does, but to an almost like, it's to a diplomatic degree, though, still. To the point where he is still analyzing. But you can see how he's smoking that cigarette. He is in pain. He's angered that Asta died. But you know, on top of that, he's still considering the ramifications of Julius being evil, Lucius being Lucius. And I love that that's just there. It's present in him. He's still like almost shaking with rage, but holding it back because there are other things to focus on right now. He is a captain. He is not like these kids. He's not young like them. He's been through stuff like this before. He's had to deal with it. And when you gotta deal with issues, you gotta be an adult and step up. And he just goes, Nacht. And we get to see, in all Christopher Sabbaths, Nacht walks from the shadows. And Nacht is like, I can move into any shadow of any person I possess. What? That's not what he said. But I can move into the shadow of any person I choose to. But right now, I can't enter Asta's. In other words, he has to be somewhere incredibly far away, in another continent or dimension, or dead. And I wonder, that's interesting. I wonder, so his shadows have a range. So he could have traveled anywhere on the continent, but not outside of it. That's interesting. That's interesting. And back to the whole reaction thing, before I get into hypothetical thing that he could have, it would have been dumb for him to do it. Like, it would have been a super crazy assumption for him to start doing it. But another thing, I like the reactions. Nacht really respected Asta. Like, straight up said, yeah, you're like one of the only zero good ones that they actually have in all of the Black Bulls. I like you, kid. Like, he was about it, but to the same degree, he's like Yami. He still is a serious adult, and he's like, we have to take care of this right now the best way we can, and I'm using all the resources I can. I'm shadow traveling, and I still can't find Homeboy. And if I can't find Homeboy, he's dead. Once again, it is crazy to think about that, but when you have something like this, when you have a scenario where the guy who knows everything, Nacht was essentially, for the longest time in the series, up until the point where he was properly introduced, was the intel guy. He was undercover in other kingdoms, doing research, doing reconnaissance. He was just that dude. For him to be unable to find Asta, and once again, who knows how long he was searching for, but considering he probably, I'm assuming the way his shadow travel works is that he thinks of a person and then travels into their shadow. Like, I don't think he can just shadow hop to random people or random things. If he could, the hypothetical thing I would have wanted him to do was be like, hey, get as close to the coast as you can on every single point, like north, south, east, and west, and then try and shadow leap. We don't know how big the borders around the Clover Kingdom are, like how drastic the sea is, whether it's like it's a Fire Emblem reference. Gotta use a Fire Emblem reference. Like, in Fire Emblem Three Houses, we don't know how far away Brigid or Dagda are. We don't actually see it on the map. However, we do know across Fulden's throat is Almyra. So I'm assuming the Almyra situation is a lot more like the situation between the kingdoms of this continent, while Brigid may be an entire ocean away, which could be the same case with this, which is why Nacht couldn't travel, because it's not like he could just hop through seabird shadows until he made it to another continent. But it's interesting though, Nacht does know there's that limit, so while he does say or dead, like he brings it up as the last suggestion, he does bring up the fact that, yeah, there is a possibility that he is alive and he's just out of my range. These things can happen. And while obviously this puts nothing but more despair in someone like Noelle, and obviously it does once again play up to the idea that there's that slight fraction, that glimmer of hope, even though it seems like on a front read it's just despair. Like, in the midst of this moment, no one's gonna be like, oh, well, maybe there's a chance. Obviously everyone's gonna be angry, and we do get to see that. See, that's another reason I just don't like it, because Fugelion once again tries to focus in on the brass tacks of it all. He's like, in the view of these circumstances, it's safe to say that Julius Dono, or should I say Lucius, is our enemy. And once again, I'm going to make a whole video talking about why I don't like it and why I think it's not going to leave too sour of a mark. It's not going to make Lucius a bad villain, but in my opinion, overall, it's going to make him a lesser villain than someone like Aizen. But I think some of y'all can guess why I'm going to have that opinion. And if you can't, don't worry, there's going to be a video dropping about that soon. However, the thing is, I like how in this scenario, right, like, they have no other option. Like, they can't reason with them, obviously. Pro just slaughtered one of his own and took a innocent human being, a literal bystander, and turned them into an angel and said, yeah, deuces, my boy, we are gone. So, obviously, there's no reasoning with him. And with this being, I guess that's the perks of it. That's one of the perks of it. With this being an entirely separate person, it's not like they can rely on, like, appealing to Julius's humanity, because it's not Julius. He's not there. He's just, well, he's there, but he's not there. You can't be like, Julius, don't you remember the times we had together? I'm Lucius. I was asleep for like 18 years. My soul magic ran out. But now I'm back. So no, I don't remember the time we spent together. So that is entirely possible. They're in a really bad Catch-22 situation where they're dealing with a literal complete stranger that happens to have the most powerful magic in the verse twice over. And we do get to see that Jack, of all people, is the one to bring up, like, wait a minute, this is a situation just like with the elves. 2 souls, 1 body. Huh? And obviously William, the guy who had 2 souls, 1 body, he's like, maybe I should have just gotten rid of him. Like, honestly, what would have happened? This is a weird question. I know it because Lucius has foreseen it all. No one can outpredict Daddy Lucius. But, like, in the case of Lucius versus Death, like, say someone had, hearing that the Wizard King of the Clover Kingdom had gotten weaker, because obviously bro became a kid, so I feel like that'd be issue number 1, what would have happened if Julius, while in a weakened state, or just period, perished? Like, if he actually died, would Lucius just be screwed? Could he not, like, would he not be able to, like, reverse hijack the body before it happened? Because I'm still a little bit off about the whole reveal thing, like, the swap back. Because it seems like Julius knew until he didn't, and then he transformed back into Lucius. I don't know. It's interesting. It's a little bit interesting, and a little bit strange. I'm wondering about that. Because the thing with William is that he could, like, consensually give over control to Patrick. That was just a thing that he could do. And he would let Patrick do that. He would be like, here, go ahead. You can have the body. We're brothers in the same body. Meanwhile, Julius seems to have, like, less autonomy over it. I don't think he willingly let Lucius out. I don't know. However, we do get to see that Nozel, once again, an empirical man who obviously does care about the Wizard King, does care about Asta, still is focusing, is like, if he's a Zo gratis, that must mean the like button is free and so is the subscribe button. And it would greatly help out Pencil if you hit those and helped out the channel a lot. Thank you. But also, that must mean he's related to the Dark Triad. And to have dominated all the demons in the underworld, he's certainly more powerful than them. By a long shot, dog. He ate the same guy who was body bagging your hearts twice. Like, not body bagging your hearts. This isn't Kingdom Hearts. But, like, unless, I'm assuming they explained that this is, I mean, I don't think Daddy Lucius said that. Why do I keep calling him Daddy Lucius? Like, that was purely involuntary. I've been calling him Daddy Lucius too much. But, yeah. If for him to have conquered all of it, I guess I wouldn't know that he's straight. Tasty. Like, maybe they don't know he ate Lucci's hearts, but, yeah, he did. So, yeah, y'all screwed. And we get to see, oh, wait, no, yeah, so they know. Obviously, he's more powerful than all. He ate the king of them all's hearts. Come on now, Nozel. And we get to see that real piggybacking off of it. Like, yo, if he's got the magic power of Lucci and the Wizard King's time magic, then there's literally nothing we can do. Like, we couldn't even beat 50% of Homeboy without the dude that he just packed. We're screwed. And to be fair, I can't even really get mad at them for that. And that's what I'm wondering about the whole 7 days timeline. Like, what are they actually going to do in 7 days? How are they going to get, like, unless they introduce a hyperbolic time chamber or something like that, I don't know what they're going to do in 7 days. But we do get to see that Fugelion, he tries to be empirical about it. He's like, yes, if he does have a strong body and can easily evoke time magic, then wow, we really are screwed. Like, there's no way out of this. You're done. That's essentially what's said here. Like, wow, there's no other options. We kind of just die. It's a GG route start. We didn't even get to play the video game before we got told the video game was over. Wow. And we get to see that there's actually there may be one hope, one chance. And it's when Yuno finally speaks up. When I went to investigate the demonic activity, the supreme demon who watched on the sidelines at Spade, as well as a large group of what appeared to be high-ranking demons were present. It was clear diversion, though, as that supreme demon turned tail and fled. And I will admit, I love this image of Meli, right? I'm assuming the only currently, quote-unquote, kind of free-willed supreme demon who isn't being, like, contracted to any true human. I love how just casual he is, sitting upon a spire and yawning at assumingly Yuno. I'm assuming the way this is being portrayed, this is Yuno's first-person perspective. So he sees Meli and Meli sees him. But Meli is not necessarily too intimidated, or at least that's what's appearing here. Like, they aren't, like, too worried about him, and they have all these high-ranking demons. However, with that, something strange happens. Because it means, according to Yuno, that, okay, they were sent by Lucius. But on top of that, for that many beings to just be roaming around, something must have happened in the underworld. Like, someone ripped open a door for allowing multiple high rankers to just roam about freely. And Fugelion once again points out that, yeah, it's not entirely impossible. Lucius's magic attribute, the original one, is soul magic, something that we don't even know about. And we see that this whole manipulation of one's soul can allow for strange processes like imbuing people with demon power against their will and transforming their entire life, body, and mind. And we see that with this being established, so many mysteries are piled on top of it. Like, what is the limits of this magic? How can they interact with it? There's a way they can beat them? What's going on here? What's going to do it? And we see that, what's his name? I forget his name all the time, and I'm not going to bother to look it up. He's an irrelevant character. I think he's the purple whatevers. He's like, Judgment Day. He would be voiced by the same guy that voiced Big the Cat. I think he's in the anime, though, so he has a voice. But I just hear the Big the Cat voice every time I read him. But, Judgment Day. These people will attack us in 7 days' time. And, interesting, what are those? Are those fingers? Oh no, those are cigarette butts. I was wondering. But we get to see that Yami as he's smoking another cigarette. And we see all the countless cigarettes he smoked. Yuno's like, I'll have to do it. And everyone turns to him like, wait, what? And we just get a flashback from Yuno, who got promoted to Grand Magic Knight, and Asta, who didn't. But we see that doesn't discourage Asta. It just encourages him to it encourages Asta to promise Yuno that he'll catch up to him and he's going to surpass Yuno. And really, if I had to say, my favorite thing about Black Clover is that, until the Lucci fight, because admittedly Asta was going dummy, but even then, Yuno was super necessary. Black Clover is one of the few shonen verses where I believe the fact that these two men are rivals. Like, they are constantly chasing each other. They are constantly in a near realm of power. It constantly feels like one cannot be without the other. That these are literally two halves of a whole, and that if one were to leave, the other would become substantially weaker or substantially more dangerous. And I like that in this case, where his brother in arms is absent and missing in action, MIA, Yuno steps up and says he'll do it. Because he knows that Asta would do the same thing. And we see that even in Yuno's mind, it was Asta who was always ahead. And he's ready to finally catch up. And Yuno straight up declares, if Asta is dead and he's not coming back, I'll have to be the one to surpass him. And I'm excited. Like, part of me gets why people don't like Yuno. Because he doesn't have, like, the most crazy moments or expressions or anything like that. But during as a character, I think he's really, really solid. And I know another reason people don't like him is because he has literally every power in the verse. But still, don't knock his hustle, bro. Like, let him be him. I let him rock out. Let him rock out. You like Ichigo, don't you? Chill out. No, I'm kidding. But we do get to see that in another world, in another time. Interestingly enough, with the exact same line. What are those lines? That has to mean something. We cut over to Lucius, right? And he welcomes back Meli. And he's sitting on a throne that has those same line details that that Lucci has, and Lucius has when in DU. And obviously True Form Lily had. Those same lines are marking the floor and going up his throne. I wonder what those lines mean. Do those lines mean something in mythology that I just don't know? Honestly can't tell you. However, we do get to see that Meli is just straight out annoyed. Like, I can't believe that human got so strong in just a single year. And what's wild is, Yuno apparently slaughtered a group of high-ranking demons in the blink of an eye. And if this image is to be believed, once again, we got the perspective of Yuno looking at Meli at first. But if we're really looking at the perspective of Meli looking at Yuno didn't do anything. He whipped out both grimoires. He whipped out both grimoires. But he didn't go into Spirit Dive. He didn't activate the Sword of Zephyr. He didn't activate anything. Bro's casually in dual-wielding base and just body bag a whole bunch of high-ranking demons. Bro is different. In base now, he could, like, annihilate 10 Zagreds. That's wild. And we do get to see that Lucius even admits, like, yeah, I won't lie to you. In all my tens of thousands of and this is changing, right? Because he always said he's foreseen it all, as if there was one unified timeline. But I guess he kind of has the where he sees a bunch of multiple ones. where he's like, in all my tens of thousands of predictions, there's only one future where they have the upper hand, and the key to that future is him, a unique being with 2 grimoires, a 4-leaf clover, and a spade, the son of the elven chief, chosen by Sylph, and the heir to the Spade Kingdom. You know, Grinny Barrel, for the sake of world peace, I will crush you. And on the opposite side, Lucius, I will defeat you and become the Wizard King. Yuna's gonna get packed. I know for a fact. Like, if they fight right now, Yuna's getting packed. I know he needs more gains. He needs more gains right now. Speaking of gains, the like button and subscribe button both need gains. So I really appreciate if you hit both of those. But I love the fact that these two men on really completely opposite fields acknowledge each other. They're like, yeah, he's a demon and so am I. So we're gonna need to take care of each other. And I'm excited. I don't know. I really want to see those two fight. Especially with Yuno having a whole year of his Spade book under his belt. I know bro's gonna be a demon. However, obviously, we are reading Black Clover, which does run in Shonen Jump. Not Seinen Jump, Shonen Jump. So we cut away one more time to a beach. We get to see a body laying there with a dirty grimoire, a dusty grimoire, and a whole blast in the back. And we see that as they lay there face down, it's Asta, obviously. And then on top of that, we do get to see that Asta has been found by some dude in some clothes. Now, notably, this kind of looks like Raya. I'm not going to lie. It does low-key look like Raya to me, but I do think we're, shockingly enough, because of the bonsai tree in the back, I think we are actually in Yami's homeland. So I take it back. I think in one of my videos I said, wow, we're really not going to get anything about Yami's homeland. We're just ending the series right now, but hey, for 100%, the only reason I even have faith in Horikoshi is because the Black Clover fandom got me. Y'all really did. Y'all said, let Tabata cook. And so far, for what he cooked up, it's been delicious. It's been scrumptious. It's been amazing. I don't know. I'm really, really rocking with it. If we are in Yami's homeland, if we're going to get a Yami's homeland training, or Asta's going to get new powers, new buffs, it's going to allow him to fight Lucius, I'm down for it. I'm ready. I'm excited. We got Yuno versus Lucius being set up. We got the captain's training arc set up. We got 7 days set up. We got so much set up that I'm getting a little bit excited. So, thank you so much for watching. That's such a weird transition. I enjoyed the chapter a lot. A solid 10 out of 10 for me for everything the chapter does on an emotional reaction level, and the mystery builds up right at the end. I greatly appreciate it. However, please tell me your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Make sure that little notification bell so you miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do a Patreon down below. You can support for as low as $1 a month to get things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. Thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is Nacht the Pencil, writing off.